All right, well, we all have dreams. We all, no, I'm not talking about when you go to bed and have REM sleep and you dream. We all have dreams, we have desires, we have things we want to accomplish, things we want to achieve. Now, let's just take a minute. Everybody close your eyes, okay? And I want you to just take a minute to do this exercise with me. Think about your dream, okay? What's it going to feel like when you accomplish it? What's it going to sound like? What's it going to smell like? Is it the feel of a tropical breeze gently playing along your face? Is it the sense of exhilaration as you cross the finish line in a 10K race?
Yeah.
Is it the sense of accomplishment as you write your first novel? We all have dreams. But we want to talk about today, what can we do? What are some practical things that we can do to take our dreams from the ethereal and just conceptual to something that we start to see every day? And really, we want to talk today about how can we practice our dreams? Or we could say it this way, practice for our dreams. I think we've all heard this saying, right? Practice makes perfect. But I'm here to tell you that's not quite right. See, the right practice, and research, you can do all the research on it. They call it all sorts of different things, but we're going to call it deep practice today. The right practice, deep practice, makes Milan. And no, that's not perfect. We'll talk about that in a minute and make it real practical to how it applies to speed, strength, intelligence, all those different things. But let's back up so that we understand each of those things. First of all, when we talk about deep practice, that means struggling in a targeted area at the edge of your ability so that you make mistakes. And then you correct those mistakes. But it's getting to the edge of your ability in any area on a regular basis so that you make mistakes in that area. Robert Bjork, who's the chair of psychology at UCLA, states that we think effortless performance is desirable, but it's a terrible way to learn. Because things that appear to be difficult now are actually beneficial in the long run. Well, what do we talk about then with deep practice? See, deep practice is not limited by ability or talent. Deep practice will allow you to develop ability or talent. Now, there is a limit to that because there's some things we have to understand. No matter how much you do deep practice, if you are not at least 300 pounds, you have no chance to be a lineman in the NFL. Okay, so there are some limitations when we talk about that. But what the concept of deep practice does is takes things that we normally try to avoid, failure, and purposely push yourself to that point of failure, to that place of failure, so that it can develop talent and ability. Now, what is Milan? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time breaking down, exact, it does this and this and this, but for the sake of what we're talking about, real simply, Milan is electrically insulating material that forms a layer around part of our neurons. Okay? But for the practicality of where we all live today, because that's not necessarily useful for everyday life, it increases signal strength, speed, and accuracy of nerve fibers as they fire. Now here's the thing when we talk about deep practice makes myelin, because myelin grows with use. Okay? Myelin is not a respecter of persons. It's not about who you are, it's about what you do. And if you do that task or do that thing, your body will create this myelin. And what will happen is you will develop more and more of that skill, more and more of that ability. If you want to be a writer, You should be writing. You might say, but it's awful when I write. Exactly, you're in the perfect place to develop that skill. See, nobody just, one day wakes up, whammo, I'm super skilled at this. Nobody just, Tiger Woods didn't just, years ago now, he's not so great right this second, but he didn't just show up on the golf scene and was like, look at me, I'm this great golfer. What happened? I remember seeing footage that his dad had shot of him as a 3-year-old, where he's out there hitting a golf ball, and he's hitting a golf ball again, and again, and again, and again. And I remember he went on the Tonight Show one time. Johnny Carson had him on the Tonight Show. He was 6 or 7 years old, and smashing these, just driving it like crazy. What happened? Well, he developed, and people will say, well, he might have, been good at that. Well, he got good at that because he kept doing it and developing that skill. But here's the thing, he went to the point of failure to where and typically that's not comfortable for us, right? None of us want to go to the place of not being good at something. Find the edge of your ability to do. We usually avoid that, right? It's not comfortable, doesn't feel good. But if you go there and you keep going there and keep pushing past that point, you'll develop that skill set. And here's the thing, nobody, well, they're just lucky, they ended up that way. They just, were this, they just were that. We probably all should have all heard of the Bronte sisters at some time, right? We have classic novels that they've written. And I heard people say, well, they were just gifted to write. And that's why they were such great writers. Well, the history shows, and the latest of history shows, you can go back and find kind of what they wrote as kids. It was awful. Why? Because they were kids. And it read like kids. And so what did they do? Well, they kept writing. They loved to write. They kept writing. They read. They kept reading. And guess what? We have classic literature, amazing novels that they've written because of that. See, if you fire those skill circuits the right way, by doing the things that you can barely do, your skill circuits will respond by getting faster and more fluent. And for all of us, we all have a dream inside of us. But what can you do today to get closer to your dream tomorrow? How can you engage the concept of deep practice today to get closer to your dream tomorrow? You're the only one that can decide how that operates in your life. But guess what? There are no limits. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Thank you.